Welcome to the Baxter Effect Podcast. Your host, John Baxter, and we're in for another exciting day here and another cool and amazing topic that's relevant in the world of health, healing, better society, and how to become just this futuristic higher potential. Now, before we get started, if you could like, share, subscribe, follow, and realize this is a live show. So if you could share your comments in the comments below, it really goes a long way. And this is an interactive podcast, one that we look forward to hearing what you have to say and sharing this with the local and larger community. So without any more, I would say I have a cool topic about something that is really interesting. This topic today is who is the most dangerous person in the world? Again, who is the most dangerous person in the world? And this, when we look at this, it's like, well, what could it be? Could it be a politician? Are they the most dangerous people in the world? Is it some billionaire that's just going after our food system, this type of thing? Is it some type of AI engineer who's creating all this AI stuff? Are these the most dangerous people in the world? And you ask yourself, man, that seems pretty serious on my physical level, on my emotional level. Maybe those are the most dangerous people in the world. But what I would say is no. The most dangerous person in the world is a happy person. And because a happy person is just a very difficult person to manipulate. In a world at large, when we realize how our relationships have been turning out in America, we keep hearing these words like narcissist, empath, and you start hearing all these ways that people get manipulated, abused mentally, verbally, physically, and you realize, that this is a huge issue because it's all around us. And of course, this is what I would like to bring into this is like that is the hidden war. The hidden war between our ears and our psyche. We're told that there's wars over the politics, money, our borders, all our resources. But there's another war. There's a war on health, which ties right in perfectly. But there's a war for your attention. There's a war for your emotions, your nervous system. Controlling your nervous system is a war. That's what the media has done, and that's why we live, if you haven't seen my last podcast, we live in the era of miscommunication. So your perceptions of reality, there's a war on that because this war on misinformation keeps us teetering on finding the truth. And the truth is your own happiness is the most powerful thing in this world. Wow. And when you bring it across like this, you realize, man, if more people were to realize this, basically we're holding up the chess game as a society. What happens when the table falls out from under it? All the pieces fall everywhere. It really breaks this control system. And whoever controls all this stuff, your attention, your emotions, your nervous system, and your reality through your perceptions, is really who controls everything. So you have an option. That's what I'm saying. And it goes back to our one of the more famous masters out there, if not slight portion of a deity, Lao Tzu, who said, "He who has mastered himself is mightier than those who conquer cities." So you are your worst enemy, of course, but those who have mastered themselves have done something much more than per se someone who conquers the world, okay, through force, through manipulation. And that is, in essence, what we're trying to get at here. A happy person can't be controlled because they can't be manipulated by all this stuff. So, and you ask, well, this is a common theme in my podcast because we tie it all together. We tie in the greats. We tie in the great religions. We tie in the great philosophers. We tie in, so much of reality because you have to look at the greats. So when we talk about the greats, about why we're suffering and why we can't be happy, well, we talk about Jesus, love one another. We talk about Buddha. Let's utilize this time we have to end suffering within each other and within ourselves. Lao Tzu, we need to return to a place of nature and harmony to find our happiness. And Aristotle would say humans need to flourish, and when they flourish, they become happy. This is how we do it, folks. This is the podcast. This is the way. This is the way toward happiness. And different cultures have different approaches. We're all subject to not really understanding any other different culture because of the language barrier. If we all spoke the same language, I think that would help out quite a bit from this interconnectedness, from this oneness that we all share among each other. And that is this single destination that no one seems to understand. We look at differences in skin color. We look at differences in language. We look at differences in religion. And all that does is divide and conquer us. But we're all human beings. We're all brothers and sisters under the sun. We're all brothers and sisters under the moon, under the sky. So when we think about this, no other human, per se, should be allowed to control us. And this interconnectedness, they shouldn't be allowed to even disturb our interconnectedness as human beings. There are forces of evil. There are forces of good. And when we talk about control and manipulation, we talk about time. That's a whole nother subject we can break down. But even Chronos, our time, when they first started time, like the clock was designed, the human clock, not the frequency of the sun and the moon and the seasons. That was just there. That clock is the universal clock, but I'm talking about the clock with 12 hours a day, 24 hours a day, and basically that clock was designed for slaves to get to work on time. And they even discussed this in earlier, over 100 years ago plus, that time was created for barbarians that would work the fields. Barbarians, that's barbarian time. The time we use today in the Gregorian calendar, that time was used for the people in power to keep people busy, to keep people looking elsewhere instead of in themselves and find the truth. The truth is a mirror, and all truths can be found without the need of someone else telling you what it is and what it isn't. Staring at you right in the face. And so we're all running toward, hopefully, the destination, and that destination needs a roadmap. And that destination is peace. If you can find peace, you can find happiness. And through that, peace will bring you to your purpose, and your purpose will bring you to wholeness. And so that goes back to the when we say in health, um, holistic technology or holistic wellness. Whole is being whole, complete. And so practice peace, find purpose, get to a place where you're whole. And guess what? Happiness is in this area. And why modern people aren't happy. And we talked about this last week. Modern people aren't happy because they're overwhelmed. Their mind's in 1,000 different places, and it's typically outside of themselves. And typically it's either in the past, in the future, and they're never aligned in the present moment because they're not allowed to even be in the present moment. And so to change the world, it's about being happy. And if you look at all the religions, most religions are about breaking free and finding happiness with God or themselves. And that's just one or two moves away. And so modern people have everything. They have more technology. They have a constant flow of entertainment. They got a dopamine hit everywhere they go. They have more convenience. They can order from Amazon, but still, it's very hard to find this thing called happiness, peace, purpose, wholeness. So what we see in the world today as a leader in health and wellness, that we see anxiety being a big issue, if not the biggest issue. Depression. You just taking antibiotics will create depression, if you didn't know that, but depression is run rampant. Burnout, because here in America, the average person is working 60 hours a week and barely making it. So burnout is on the rise. I know a kid that took his own life just because of burnout. It's serious. It's serious. And it just goes by the wayside. It doesn't make the news. Thousands of people die every day. It doesn't make the news of why they died or their anxiety and the depression. It's something that they believe that the drugs can fix. It's the furthest from the truth. So comfort and happiness, they cannot be the same thing. When we look at comfort and happiness, how are we to think that they're the same thing? Oftentimes, we get stuck in comfort. We could be in a bad relationship. We can be in a bad job. None of it serves the peace, purpose, or even our happiness, but we stay with it because it gives us comfort. Because we know the bills are paid. We know the car payment is paid. We stay, and myself included, for many years, stay in comfort, even in relationships, because it feels somewhat safe. And even though it doesn't make you happy, and even comfort can cause severe anxiety, depression, and burnout. And when you look at that, wow, we are on to something, guys. And it's time for a little sponsor break. And this sponsor break is brought to you by Anti-Aging Bed. Anti-Aging Bed is the leader in health technology around the world, including health technology, including the most advanced AI, with holographic body scanning and mapping, finding problems, getting solutions. And did you know, and we talked about anxiety, depression, and burnout, but did you know our product had a third-party study, and our products are grounding technology that you sleep on. The third-party study found that when you sleep on the bed for 6 weeks or less, you'll have 42% anxiety, less anxiety. You'll have 40% less depression, and basically you get 38% better quality sleep. And even with that, with the anxiety and depression, you think, wow, even our mental health is tied to feeling safe, right? Comforting and safe. And in the sense of your perception, like we talked about earlier, has everything to do with how happy you are. So, as a society, if we could slow down anxiety, if we can slow down depression, we can get so much further. So, with this being said, you know, the attention that we give this current society, there's a way that they get people to believe into becoming manipulative, and we see it even in narcissism. Narcissism is created to control. People became narcissists because they learned how to control other people, not in a good way, but in a negative way. And it's based on insecurity, fear, outrage, division. So the modern system we live in today, it profits from you staying in fear. It profits from you being outraged. It profits from you dividing yourself from your sexual orientation to your skin color to your political stance. It thrives on your insecurity through creating insecurity by people's relationships. Insecurity in your job, insecurity in your financial situation. And in the current model of health and in the current model we live in here in the Western world, that fear is profitable. Whoa, fear is profitable. Outrage, wow, outrage is profitable. How come on social media, the stuff I don't want to hear about, the stuff I don't like, is the only thing I'm seeing? Because outrage is profitable. If you're on one side of the political spectrum, guess what? You're only seeing the other side. It's only increasing your anger, outrage, and fear. And that's the world we live in. So when you look at the negative side of things, and we knew this from the news media, that the news media would not get any traction unless they gave negative news. This was found out in the early 1900s. And so why is news media so negative? Is because that's how they profit. They profit from sensationalizing news that is probably not even real. So the reality is you need to know the things in place that are causing you from not being happy. So the peaceful person becomes economically inconvenient. A peaceful person becomes economically inconvenient. So right there, a happy person is breaking the mold. A happy person, for no other reason but to be happy, is the key in the matrix. It's the shattering and opening of the door of something much better for not only yourself, the people around you, but if other people can find this, they are so much closer to the truth, their peace, their purpose. And this brings us to so much of the things we hope for in the future. So when we talk about health, and this is where we really focus on here, we realize that pain, it easily changes your perception. If your body is in pain, then your perception changes. And the longer your body's in pain, the longer your change is becoming more like a repetitive pattern. And stress, it changes your perception because, your focus changes when you're under stress. Poor sleep changes your perception. If you're not sleeping, guess what? You're gaining weight. Gaining weight doesn't make you feel any better. Poor sleep changes your perception because you're no longer as clear-minded as you would be if you slept great. Your cells in your body are not properly charged or regenerative in the sense of having that energy if you get poor sleep. So when the body suffers, the mind suffers. And we realize this, and you know this as just living on this earth long enough. When your body is in pain, your mind suffers. And when your mind suffers, your perception suffers, and your health in just a really quick time gets depleted. So what we're going to do is we're going to end that. We're going to talk about this today in fine detail, that health, happiness, and performance are inseparable. Because if you're healthy, you're happy, and if you're healthy and happy, typically your health is in check, you're sleeping a lot better, you have figured out how to reduce your pain and your stress and your anxiety, and your performance increases. This is an inseparable fact. And this brings us to our real mission here today, which is we're not offering technology, in the sense of like selling. I'm not an infomercial. What I've done here is I didn't create a company or a product that just happened by wayside. What we did here was we created solutions. And the much deeper mission that we've created is we are here to reduce our suffering. Our goal of our company is to reduce or basically end human suffering. That's been our goal on every podcast. I bring it up each and every time. And when we suffer and when we figure out how to end our suffering, guess what? We start creating more. We start showing love more. We start serving not only ourselves and our family, but our community more. We typically smile more when we end our suffering. Now that we got through that and we realize that suffering serves a negative end consequence. But if we turn our pain into purpose, we realize our suffering was there as our best teacher. And once we learn and we integrate, that's the proper term, with our wisdom, we love more, we create more, we serve people more, we smile more. And this is how we change the world, one person at a time. And this goes back to our first premise. The most dangerous person in the world is someone that is healthy enough to think clearly, happy enough to not be manipulated by the media, by friends, by enemies, manipulated by social media. So realize this is what we talk about. Grounded people don't even panic. There's no stress. They're independent enough to choose their reality. They have the wisdom. They know the issues. They integrate because they do have wisdom. And so when you learn this, you become on a positive level, the most dangerous person in the world. You become a happy person. You become what would appear to be to the status quo, the most dangerous person in the world. Great. And that person is the most difficult to control. And so we've always thought as happiness is weakness. We've always considered that happiness could be powerful, and that peace, which all the famous greats from Martin Luther King, Mahatma Gandhi, Buddha, Jesus, this is so true. Their health was their power. Their peace was their weapon of power. Happiness was their internal guidance toward obtaining power. And why did they get this power? To help humanity, to help others. That's why they'll forever be etched in the human psyche. We learn about these people, but what did they really do? Well, they showed people the way to happiness, and through wisdom, and to find that happiness and stay in that. And that's why the greats, not only were they the most dangerous people, Jesus's death, and you go back to Jesus's death. It was the first political death that we have in our history books. Him being a figure of peace, love, and happiness. When he was assassinated and killed, we realize that he was killed because so many people's lives were changed. So many people became happy. And he was willing to put it on the line for all of us. Same is true with all the other greats. Socrates, they forced him to drink hemlock because he was protecting the everyday people with wisdom. Wisdom was as powerful as any other truth pill, that he actually was forced to commit suicide. So there is extreme power in being happy, and I've just laid it out there for you. The most dangerous person in the world is the one who no longer needs anyone else's permission or approval to live in peace. And how much more of this do we need to push out into our society? How much more of this information do people need? You ask yourself, why? Well, we're all interconnected. We're all seeking this happiness. Most of us are divided. We are seeking truth in a world of misinformation, overload, overstimulation. And here at the Baxter Effect Podcast, we are that change. And that's why we came up with that name, the Baxter Effect. We're one little ripple that spreads across. And we talk about the things that most people don't want to talk about. And it feels great to do this for everyone because people need to know. They're seeking the truth. They're seeking more knowledge. They're trying to find the wisdom they need to live their potential in a world full of misinformation. So I'd like to thank you guys once again. Like, share, comment below. We will get to you. And if you could subscribe or follow, that would be amazing. And until next time, thank you guys so much for joining the Baxter Effect Podcast. Your host, John Baxter.